referring to the next 10 years as the hyper-personalisation of the workforce.
All CEOs want to be the best leader they can. But the idea of the traditional workspace has changed, so leaders must adapt as well. What's the best way to create a professional environment to maximise everyone's potential?
If I've got that across my whole workforce, that's an unstoppable force.
Well, Shaun Fox met with Alicia Lykos from the Red Wolf Group to gain insights into building the right staff for the future.
We're talking about the Great Resignation, which is a little bit slow to hit the market here in Australia. But the challenge for employers and everyone here, whether you're building a company, whether you're a really established business, is how do we not only attract the right people in as we grow, but how do we retain and inspire and grow and develop a very demanding now workforce who's got big expectations around what they're looking for. So the work that we do is really about helping people understand their workforce, and that's why we use predictive index along with lots of other data and tools to help people understand their workforce better.
That's amazing, because we really have seen, like, I employ quite a lot of staff. I'm looking for 31 staff, so help me if you can.
Wow.
But it really has moved into more of a personal approach, especially having people at home and, you know, sort of remote living and remote working. It's getting to know them more on a personal level and their needs. So I have to be more in tune now with how they're feeling or what their language is, and to be able to communicate to them. I found that that's been a big challenge for me.
And it's interesting that personalisation, they're referring to the next 10 years as the hyper-personalisation of the workforce. So imagine Netflix. You log into Netflix, I log into Netflix, we both see different things. And that's a hyper-personalisation experience. Imagine that in 10 years' time for an employee at work. Everything they see, everything they do is personalised for them in terms of how they like to work. And I think that's really where the future of work is heading. And a key to that is actually understanding each individual that you've mentioned there. So how do I know what drives and motivates you? What do you need? Are you a real visual learner? Do you love to listen to podcasts at work? Like, how do you like to be prepared for a meeting? All of those granular details we can look down into and work out what do you need. And we can then train your manager on how to best interact with you, knowing that they've got to manage 10 or 15 other people and everyone has different needs.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so tell me, how can you help me? How can I understand my staff better? Like, what is it that you guys can do?
Yeah, so look, we start off with a really data-driven approach. So the first thing we do when we work with any business is really get into the data, which sounds odd because we deal with people. But we actually want to get in, we want to survey the workforce, we want to have a look at engagement levels, we want to have a look at what their needs are. We use a really powerful behavioural assessment tool called predictive index, and that helps us work out how you like to work.
We're seeing a lot more people with a lot more choice just in life, in either how they invest or, you know, how they spend their time. So it is that sort of social responsibility too we're seeing, where people choose, well, what do you do as a business? I find that I'm reverse interviewing now.
Oh, totally.
With staff.
We're selling.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely crazy. And I think, but that's a positive thing, because I actually think it raises the caliber and raises our responsibility as business owners. What is our social responsibility? What is our diversity and inclusion, you know, perspective on workforce? Because we know we spend so much of our waking lives at work. And if we as business owners can play a role in improving the standard of living and the standard of working, that means we're actually creating a better workforce, but a better world.
That's amazing, I love that. And have you found, are you sort of doing some coaching towards like business owners and employers?
Yeah, and I think a lot of managers are struggling with that, but now, you know, we run a whole program which is about courageous conversations. It's all very superficial, we get in and do work and we might have our immediate family, but we're losing that work connection. Because people actually don't know how to have the conversation. People don't know how to ask the questions.
Yeah, and the fear is burnout. I hear the word burnout a lot. How's that actually, I don't understand it enough in the current environment. What does that actually mean? How's it working?
Yeah, burnout is really looking at the eradication of any balance in your life. So, you know, we know that people are getting up and working far longer hours. They're not commuting anymore. Even commuting was officially downtime. We're reading a book, we're listening to music, we're watching Netflix. You remove that 2 hours from your day, you may have spent it working. So we're actually seeing you're not going out to lunch with colleagues. All those little mini micro interactions that you were having have been removed. So we're spending more time at work, and that's causing a greater level of fatigue. There's a lot of mental health issue that's been raised around the pandemic in terms of anxiety. All of those combined has created a bigger element of burnout for people, and it's real.
So there's quite a big social responsibility now for owners to sort of take that initiative and find ways to interact.
Absolutely. I think if you're not doing anything, you are absolutely going to get left behind in this day and age where everyone else is leaning into it and going, how do I find opportunity to attract but also retain an amazing workforce? Because that is your competitive advantage in this landscape. It's not
And it's so hard to
great
hire.
product. It is so hard to hire.
So taking this sort of initiative in these programs, is that going to help me hire these 31 staff that I'm trying to get at the moment?
So we know the outcome of these type of programs is you get, not only you attract the right people in the right roles, is then you actually get greater levels of performance because people wake up motivated. They wake up engaged. I'm ready to go to work. I'm going to put in that effort. I'm going to generate more ideas. If I've got that across my whole workforce, that's an unstoppable force.
That makes so much sense to me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm finding that I'm having to interview my staff, so now this is a lot clearer what's actually happening in the market and where my competitive nature sits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.